Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Mahārāja's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Mahārāja on September 6, 2022 in Sri Māyāpur, India.
Pangun langay tegirin Sri Gurum Dina Tarinam Sri Caitanya Meeshwaram
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat. So today reading from Sri Caitanya book Unwavering Faith and Surrender of Haridāsa Thakura towards the Holy Name Part 2 Chaitanya Bhagavat Adikanda 16.80
ভাব ও ভাষা ভেদে সকলেরই অধিকার ভেদে স্বর শাস্ত্রে সেই একই পরমাত্মা অন্তর্যামী ঈশ্বরেরই নাম রূপ গুণ ব্যাখ্যান সে প্রভুর নাম গুণ সকল জগতে বলেন সকালে মাত্র নিজ শাস্ত্র মতে
The names and qualities of that Lord are chanted by everyone according to the respective scriptural injunctions. Purport. The names, forms, qualities, associates and pastimes of the Supreme Lord are interpreted differently in different parts of the world by different preachers according to their respective scriptures.
So, different scriptures like Quran, Old Testament, New Testament.
So the different scriptures like Quran, Old Testament and New Testament,
like Vedas,
like the Vedas
and other scriptures are interpreted by the different preachers according to their respective scriptures.
and other scriptures are being interpreted by these different preachers according to their scriptures. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.81
ভাবগ্রাহী জনার্দন ভূত দ্রোহ ফলে ভগবত দ্রোহোৎপত্তি যে ঈশ্বর সে পুনঃ সবার ভাবলয় হিংসা করিলেই সে তাহা হিংসা হয়
The Supreme Lord accepts the devotion of everyone, but if anyone is envious of his children, then he retaliates. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. Lord Janardhan, who is bhavagrahi or appreciative of one's sentiments, is served by everyone according to their respective moods. If a person rejects or envies the mood of another, then such feelings are actually targeted towards the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a living entity should never envy other living entities. If one tries to uproot and convert the internal mood of another person into that of his own narrow-mindedness, then the result will be not only criticism of another's religion, but enviousness of the Supreme Lord, who is the goal of all religion. Service and envy directed to the Supreme Lord are the two separate matters. If one misidentifies envy as service to the Supreme Lord, then he will be opposed to the service of the Supreme Lord and ultimately becomes envious of the devotees. When a living entity becomes devoid of loving service to the Lord, he becomes sometimes a sense enjoyer, sometimes a fruitive worker, sometimes an impersonalist, sometimes a hatha yogi, and sometimes a raja yogi. to engage such persons in the service of Lord Mukunda for their eternal benefit is not an act or form of envy. Rather, inducing such person to engage in activities of sense gratification instead of the service of the Lord is to give indulgence to envious activities and therefore must be given up.
So, being envious of other worshippers of the Supreme Lord
So being envious of other worshippers of the Supreme Lord
is something which is painful and against the Supreme Lord.
is something which is very painful and against toward the Supreme Lord.
So one should rather promote
One should rather promote
the spiritual activities of everyone,
the spiritual activities of everyone,
so that by doing their spiritual activities and they develop their natural appreciation for the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
By doing the spiritual activity, one will develop his natural appreciation towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.82
ভগবদ ইচ্ছা প্রেরণা বশেই হরিদাসের যাবতীয় ক্রিয়া মুদ্রা সম্পাদন ও বিচরণ এতেকে আমারে সে ঈশ্বর যে হেন লইয়াছেন চিত্তে লওয়াইয়াছেন চিত্তে করি আমি তেন
Therefore, I am only acting under the inspiration of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. For this reason, I am engaged in the service of the Lord according to the inspiration that He has given me. A person makes progress in the service of the Lord by acting in whatever way the Lord inspires him. In Bhagavad Gita 10.10 it is stated, Tesham satata yuktanam vajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yoghantam enamam upayanti te. Those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me.
So, Haridāsa is telling the Muslim king,
So Haridāsa Thakur is telling the Muslim king,
and what he is doing is inspired by the Supreme Lord,
so what he is doing is inspired by the Supreme Lord,
and that naturally he wants to please the Lord and develop his divine consciousness.
Naturally, he wants to please the Lord and develop his divine consciousness. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.83
অন্য দৃষ্টান্ত বিপ্রকুলোদ্ভূত হইয়াও কাহারও বা কর্ম স্বভাব বা সংস্কার বশে তামস অন্তজ প্রবৃত্তি হিন্দুকুলে কেহ যেন হইয়া ব্রাহ্মণ আপনে আসিয়া হয় ইচ্ছায় যবন
By his own desire, a Hindu Brahmana may also become a Muslim. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. Just as I have taken birth in a Muslim family, yet by the will of the Lord I have engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Lord Vishnu. As befitting a Brahmana, a person born in a Brahmana family can also give up his Brahmanical duties by the will of the Lord and follow the social codes that are opposed to the Vedas under the influence of his mental whims.
So, Haridāsa Thakur is presenting that
So Haridāsa Thakur is presenting that
many Hindu Brahmins and others have accepted Muslim faith.
Many Hindu Brahmins and others have accepted the Muslim faith.
So, what is the harm if he accepts the Hindu practices?
So what's the harm if he accepts the Hindu practices?
After all, there's only one Supreme Lord and he's serving that Lord.
After all, there is only one Supreme Lord and he is serving the Lord. Sri Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.84.
জাতি নির্বিশেষে সকলকেই প্রযোজক কর্তা ঈশ্বরের কর্মফল প্রদান অমৃতস্বরূপ ঈশ্বরভজন ত্যাগপূর্বক তামসিক ব্যক্তি স্বয়ংই জীবন মৃত্যু সুতরাং অন্যের নিধনা যোগ্য হিন্দুবা কি করে তারে যার যেই কর্ম আপনে যে মইল তারে মারিয়া কি ধর্ম
What can the Hindus do? That is his karma. If one is already dead, then what is the use of killing him? Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. The living entities achieve appropriate punishment or reward for the activities they perform under the influence of their respective tastes. Therefore, there is no need for their separate punishment. It is stated, Swakarma Phala Bhuk Puman. If human being enjoys the fruit, every human being enjoys the fruits of his karma.
So, Haridāsa is stating that
So Haridāsa Thakur is stating that
if a Hindu performs tamasic work,
if a Hindu performs tamasic works,
then he'll be punished by laws of karma.
he would be punished by laws of karma.
What is the use of killing him if he's already dead?
What is the use of killing him if he is already dead? Sri Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.85.
শাস্ত্র যুক্তি বর্ণনান্তে নবাব সমীপে হরিদাসের সকৃত কর্মানুরূপ দণ্ড প্রার্থনা মহাশয় তুমি এবে করহ বিচার যদি দোষ থাকে শাস্তি করহ আমার
Dear sir, now you can judge. If I am at fault, then you may punish me.
So, Haridāsa is saying that
So Haridāsa Thakur is saying that
many Hindus have accepted Islam.
many Hindus have accepted Islam.
If I accept the Vedas, is there anything wrong with that?
If I accept the Vedas, is there anything wrong with that?
I simply want to serve the Supreme Lord.
I simply want to serve the Supreme Lord.
If there's anything wrong, you may punish me.
If there is anything wrong, you might punish me. Sri Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.86.
হরিদাসের শাস্ত্রযুক্তি সঙ্গত সত্য কথা শ্রবণে সমবেত সকলেরই হর্ষ হরিদাস ঠাকুরের সুসত্য বচন শুনিয়া সন্তোষ হইল সকল যৌবন
Hearing Haridāsa Thakur's conclusive statements, the Muslims were all satisfied.
So Haridāsa Thakur, he gave very concise arguments,
So Haridāsa Thakur, he gave very concise arguments,
and everybody was satisfied with his declarations,
and everybody was satisfied with his
statements.
Sri Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.87.
পাষণ্ডিক কাজীর নবাবের প্রতি হরিদাসকে দণ্ড প্রদানার্থ উত্তেজনা ও শাসনোক্তি সবে এক পাপী কাজী মূল্যপতিরে বলিতে লাগিলা শাস্তি করহ ইহারে।
Only the sinful Qazi instigated the king, saying, "Punish him."
The Qazi or magistrate
So the Qazi or the magistrate
was actually a very sinful man,
was actually a very sinful man,
and he didn't accept the statements of Haridāsa.
and he didn't accept the statements of Haridāsa Thakur.
So he demanded that Haridāsa should be punished.
So he demanded that Haridāsa Thakur should be punished. Sri Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.88.
এই দুষ্ট আরো দুষ্ট করিবে অনেক, যবন কুলেতে অমহিমা আনিবেক।
This miscreant will simply create other miscreants, and he will bring a bad name to the Muslim community.
This Qazi, he was envious against Haridāsa.
So the Qazi, he was envious against Haridāsa Thakur.
So he gave this sectarian viewpoint to punish him.
So he gave this sectarian viewpoint to punish him. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.89.
এ থেকে ইহার শাস্তি কর ভালো মতে, নহে বা আপন শাস্ত্র বলুক মুখেতে।
Therefore, punish him in an exemplary way. At least make him recite the confession from the Quran. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. The atheist Qazi instigated the king by complaining against Haridāsa Thakur as follows. The example of following Hindu principles that Haridāsa Thakur is setting will certainly bring infamy to the Muslim community, and in the future many Muslims will bring further defamation and disrepute to the Muslim religion by following him. Therefore, you should severely punish him as a warning to others so that this may not happen. Otherwise, Haridāsa should personally repent and beg forgiveness for his actions. Then only he can be excused from punishment.
The only offense of Haridāsa
The only offense of Haridāsa Thakur
is chanting the holy names of Kṛṣṇa,
is chanting the holy names of Kṛṣṇa,
for which no one should be punished.
for which no one should be punished.
But this Qazi was so envious
But this Qazi was so envious
that he wanted to punish Haridāsa,
that he wanted to punish Haridāsa Thakur,
although he was faultless.
although he was faultless. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.90.
বৈদিক সত্য বিরোধী অসৎ শাস্ত্র কীর্তনার্থ হরিদাস প্রতি স্বয়ং নবাবের প্রথমে প্রলোভন ও অভয় প্রদর্শন। পুনঃ বলে মূল্যকের প্রতি, আরে ভাই আপন শাস্ত্র বলো তবে চিন্তা নাই।
The king again requested Haridāsa, "Oh brother, just recite the confession from the Quran and you will have nothing to worry about." Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.91.
নচেত অন্যথা চরণে হরিদাসের প্রতি দণ্ড, ভয় প্রদর্শন ও অপমান লাভ সম্ভাবনা কথন। অন্যথা করিবে শাস্ত্রী সব কাজীগণে, বলিবাও পাছে আর লঘু হইবা কেনে।
Otherwise the sinful Qazis will punish you and you will be forced to recite the Quran anyway. In this way you will be humiliated. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. The king said to Haridāsa Thakur, "If you give up the behavior of persons who are opposed to our religious principles and follow the Muslim literatures and behavior, then there is no need for you to fear or worry. Otherwise, the Qazi and his men will severely punish you. Even now, I am giving you a warning. Why should you diminish your prestige by unnecessarily being punished later on?
So even a Muslim king,
So even the Muslim king,
he was somewhat positive to Haridāsa.
positive to Haridāsa Thakur.
But he was saying that the Qazi would create some problem for him.
But he was saying the Qazi would create some problem for him.
Why not avoid that?
So why not avoid that? Sri Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.92.
হরিদাসের সুসিদ্ধান্ত বাণী সর্বহৃদয় অন্তর্যামী ঈশ্বরই স্বীয় মায়া দ্বারা সর্বজীবের পরিচালক। হরিদাস বলেন যে করান ঈশ্বরে তাহা বই আর কেহ করিতে না পারে।
Haridas said, one cannot do anything other than what the Supreme Lord desires. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. Hearing the king's words, Haridas Thakur fearlessly replied, whatever the Supreme Lord wills, that alone will happen. Apart from that, no one can do anything.
Haridāsa was completely surrendered to Lord Kṛṣṇa.
So Haridas Thakur was completely surrendered to Lord Kṛṣṇa.
And so he was saying that he will do whatever the Lord wants.
So he was saying that he would do whatever the Lord wants. Sri Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.93.
ঈশ্বরই প্রযোজক, কর্তা ও কর্মফলদাতা। অপরাধ অনুরূপ যার যেই ফল, ঈশ্বরে সে করে ইহা জানিহ কেবল।
Know for certain that the Lord awards the results of one's offences. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord alone is the bestower of the living entities' fruits of action. The sense of being the doer that the living entities who are bewildered by the false ego attribute to themselves in the course of their activities is only due to false pride. Only the supreme will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead yields fruits. Although the living entities are instruments, the supreme will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the most powerful.
Actually, what Haridāsa Thakur is saying,
What Haridas Thakur is saying,
a Muslim king should also take caution from.
so the Muslim king also should take caution from.
Now, if he causes Haridāsa Thakur to be punished
So if he causes Haridas Thakur to be punished
without committing any sin,
without committing any sin,
then he'd be subject to the
he would be subject
punishment of the Lord.
to the punishment of the Lord. Sri Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.94.
তরুরপি সহিষ্ণুতার জ্বলন্ত আদর্শ ও হরিনাম কীর্তন নিষ্ঠার মূর্ত বিগ্রহ সত্য সন্ধ হরিদাসের সাভীষ্ট শ্রীনাম প্রভুর প্রতি অচলা শ্রদ্ধা ও প্রপত্তি। খণ্ড খণ্ড হই দেহ যায় যদি প্রাণ, তবু আমি বদলে না ছাড়ি হরি নাম।
Even if my body is cut into pieces and I give up my life, I will never give up chanting of the Lord's holy name.
Haribol,
Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Haridāsa Thakur ki jai.
Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa.
Hari Bol. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. This material body which is received from the mother and father is not permanent. The life that is averse to the service of the Supreme of Lord Kṛṣṇa and which is presently absorbed in material happiness is also perishable or changeable. But the holy names of the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Lord Himself are not two separate objects. Spiritual names are not like the names of material objects that are invented by human beings within the time factor. The spiritual name and the possessor of the name are one. Therefore, I can never give up chanting the holy names and repose my faith in my gross and subtle bodies. The constitutional position of a living entity is that he is the eternal servant of Lord Kṛṣṇa. In other words, every living entity is a Vaishnava. The Vaishnavas have no other activities than chanting the holy names of Sri Hari. The only duty of both the practitioner and the perfected beings is to chant the holy name of the Lord. I cannot give this up to follow the man-made social behavior, even if the result is that society and its administrators torture me as much as they want. I am prepared to tolerate it all with a smiling face. I will never give up the eternal service of Lord Hari and run after temporary material happiness. I have no other activity than congregationally chanting the spiritual names of Lord Kṛṣṇa that I have received through disciplic succession. Both the body and the mind are distinct from I, the owner of the body, because I am eternal, while the body and mind are temporary.
So, Haridāsa Thakur explains his total faith in the Supreme Lord and His holy name.
So Haridāsa Thakur explains his total faith in the Supreme Lord and His holy name,
and his commitment to chanting the holy name
and his commitment to chanting the holy name
of Lord Kṛṣṇa
of Lord Kṛṣṇa
to the end of his body.
until the end of his body.
So, his inspiration is to everyone
So his inspiration is for everyone
to take full faith in the Supreme Person and His holy name.
to take full faith in the Supreme Person and His holy name. Thus ends the chapter entitled Unwavering Faith and Surrender of Haridāsa Thakur towards the Holy Name. Under the section, The Glories of Srila Haridāsa Thakur.
So, Haridāsa Thakur had such faith in the holy name,
So Haridāsa Thakur, he had such faith in the holy name,
and that's why we see why Lord Caitanya made him the Acharya of the holy name.
So therefore we see why Lord Caitanya made him as the Acharya of the holy name.
And it says even if one is a Brahmin, was very expert in chanting all the mantras,
Even one is a Brahmin who's very expert in chanting all the mantras.
if he's not a Vaishnava,
If he is not a Vaishnava,
he cannot be a guru.
he cannot be a guru.
And if someone is a Vaishnava, even if he's born in a family of dog eaters,
If someone is a Vaishnava, even if he is born in a family of dog eaters,
he can be a guru.
he can be a guru.
So we can see how Haridāsa Thakur, although he was born in a Hindu family,
So we can see how Haridāsa Thakur, although he was born in a non-Hindu family,
he was having all the faith of a pure devotee.
He was having all the faith of a pure devotee.
And the pure Vaishnava, his example is something to inspire everyone.
And as a pure Vaishnava, his example is something to inspire, something to aspire for everyone.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Thank you for watching our videos. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.